This building at the end of the square is St. Mark's Basilica and epitomizes the Byzantium influence in Venice, an influence that was the result of the protection of Venice from Charlemagne and his Carolingian dynasty, if you will, by the Turks of Constantinople. The dead giveaways, of course, are these onion-shaped domes. I will come back here in the daytime and get another shot of all this. This tower that I've focused down on, it's part of this whole complex of the 16th century office buildings, is called the Clock Tower. Notice the digital clock right there. At the top is the interesting part. Apparently on the hour, these two male statues, clapper statues, will whack that bell. So hopefully tomorrow I'll get to hear that. The famous bronze horses. This mix of what looks like simplicity in the top story and elegant complexity on the bottom two floors, as well as the mix of arches and the Byzantium type of arches, is the Doge's Palace, top dog, Venice. This is San Giorgio Maggiore Church. It's across the bay a little bit. To know where this scene is, I'm going to turn the map. Okay, to know where this view is, then the brown at the bottom, those buildings, that's San Marco Square where I'm standing. I'm standing not too far from the water, and I'm looking straight out, and right across from there is that church. This is where the Grand Canal starts for most tourists. At the end of the railroad line. I'm off to the right, but I want to go down and look at a new bridge that's down to the left, if it's in fact done. So there is the new bridge that was built of steel and aluminum and glass, and apparently it's operating well. Roberto, who is the, I think, owner, certainly the chef of this little restaurant, about 2-3 blocks away from the secondary main drag. His waitress said, "You don't want butter for your bread, you want something different." She says it's bad for you. So Roberto and her brought over the some salt and some pepper, which he then added to what I put because he said it needed more. And then a little bit of this virgin oil, and then some aceto balsamico, which of course is balsamic vinegar. This is a view down the canal I walked earlier today at the very beginning of the afternoon. We're looking down the route that I traveled, and this is the direction from whence I came. And I had a little spaghetti down there and a small restaurant beyond that stairway on the right. And here is the Jewish ghetto square. That's how you get rid of your trash in Venice. This is why it's so expensive here, because absolutely everything takes a lot to get it done. First ride on the Vaporetto down to San Marco. Figure it's easier for me to spend $6.50 to go down there by Vaporetto and then just walk back later in the day than the double shot. Sheetrock and other building materials. Just so you'll have a clue, we're going from the upper left, arching around to the upper and then down to the right, making that long ass down to San Marco, where you see the tower. Just finished touring the museum, which is incredibly cold. I think a lot of it has to do with no heat, but also the high humidity here. So when it's cold, it's really cold. Now the sun is shining somewhere. I'll have to get to it. Don't know if this is a cistern or what. It's a matched pair, apparently. Not matched, but similar. Went in the cafeteria after I got through with my walk through the museum, which has very little in English, and what it does have is very confusing and convoluted in the way you get it. So it's designed to have you walk through in total ignorance. I went to the cafeteria, and then the cafeteria hot chocolate, a cup was €4. Figure that at about 5 at least in US dollars. And then if you wanted to sit at a table, it was 50% more, in other words $6. So you can jack it all the way up to about 8 to 9 for a cup of hot chocolate. I just find that to be an absurd system. Although great for the efficiency of their business. But it's beyond me to allow myself to be ripped off, even if I can't afford it. This was a spectacular building, I'm sure, when it was original. Some of it's been damaged by fire and rebuilt in the last several centuries. It must have been incredibly cold in spite of the large fireplaces, at this time of year at least. What's interesting here